Welcome in, everyone. We're going to look at the games I beat for the 14-ish console challenge for 2024. I actually did get 14 consoles or systems beat. So right here, you can see a breakdown of what I did. I beat 1 on the Master System, 2 on the Genesis, 1 on the Game Gear, 1 on the Saturn, all Sega consoles. For Nintendo, I beat 2 on the NES, 1 on the Game Boy, 1 on the Game Boy Advance, 1 on the N64, 1 on the GameCube, 1 on the DS. No, sorry. None on the DS, none on Nintendo handhelds that I couldn't play on the Game Boy player. We got 1 on the Wii, 1 on the Wii U, 2 on the Switch, 12 on the Xbox 360, and 5 on the Xbox One. Last year was an Xbox year. I had a lot of fun with it. And as you can see, here's the list. So on the Master System, we beat Submarine Attack, and we beat that in March. I think that was the first game that I beat last year, specifically for the challenge. When I get down to the list of other games that I beat, there were some that I beat before that, but I didn't beat any games until March. So I got a late start. But it's a fun game. It's a shooter. You're a submarine. It's pretty cool because it's bright, colorful, plays well. Not really difficult. But if you've got a Master System or the way to play Master System games, I would recommend looking at it, especially if you like. Next up on the Sega Saturn, Battle Arena Toshinden URA. It's a decent enough fighter. I just kept trying to ring people out, and I was able to do it. I'd be that one June 21st. On Game Gear, Paperboy. It's an okay game. The premise is it's kind of fun. There's kind of a trick. I don't know if it works in the NES version, but there's a small little sliver that most of the time you can hang out right there and nothing will hit you. There's a couple spots where it's a driveway that somebody might dive down right there or drive down right there and get you, so you might have to dodge a few things as you're playing through it, but not too difficult. If you do the same thing on the NES or the Game Boy versions, I imagine there might have been a Game Gear version too, I forget. But it's okay. It's fun to play for a little bit, but that's not something that I'd want to spend a bunch of time on. And I didn't. But I'd play it again. I don't know if I'd worry about trying to beat it. Submarine Attack and Battle Arena Toshinden, I'd play them both again and beat them both again. They were pretty fun. Mystic Defender on the Genesis. I might play it again. I might try to beat it again. It was fairly fun. The bosses really felt like they were just meat sponges. And there was some control issues. It felt like some levels were just a little bit just meh. But I beat that October 9th. And then for the NES, I beat Demon Sword. And let me grab that cart. Alright, this one, I picked this one up. And I think this one's neat just because of how messed up the cartridge is. Which I'm not sure how, like, the cartridge itself got pretty messed up. But the label, I mean, it's not perfect. But it's in pretty good shape. So I just thought the water or acid or whatever, sun fading from whatever got spilled on it was cool. And it's not a bad game. I wouldn't mind going back and playing it again. It was a lot easier once I figured out what all the orbs did. I had to look that one up. But, you know, older games, sometimes, you know, you really do need that manual. It helps just a little bit. Yeah. Next up on the Game Boy, we got TMNT Follow the Foot Clan. It's okay for an early Game Boy game. It's another one of the maybe beat it, maybe play through it again. Demon Sword was saying yes, I'd play it, and maybe try to play through it again. I don't know if I'd want to. You kind of need to do a little bit of farming to get some of the orbs and sometimes health. Now, the Game Boy Advance and the GameCube, I played 2 Bionicle games. I beat those March 7th and March 11th, respectively. No, I would not play it again. No, I would not beat it again. Obviously, if I wouldn't play it. I felt like the GBA, they were both kind of just like cash grabs, bad hitboxes. Both of them, I forget, I might have sold them, or they're in the bin to get sold. GameCube version had rough camera and controls. It was kind of frustrating at times because you couldn't see what you were doing, and made it more, not even necessarily difficult, but more irritating than it should have been. Next up, we have Fling Smash on the Wii, which is a lot of fun because you're sitting there just waving, waggling, spazzing out with the Wiimote, and you're the ball's on screen, and you're just hitting it and trying to hit it at the right angle to go and break blocks and hit bosses and hit other baddies. Fun game. I'd play it again, play it with another person. I don't know if I'd really bother trying to get through it again, though. WarioWare on the Wii U. I mean, it's so much fun. Sketch is one of the best. Sketch is one of the best mini games. It's not really a mini game, but best multiplayer thing that's even on that. That's included in that game. We've had people come over who aren't really gamers and they want to come over and play that because you sketch around on the gamepad and everyone's trying to guess what you're doing. 5 people can play. It's really cool, a lot of fun. On the Switch, I beat Sonic Superstars. Believe it or not. That one, surprisingly, I beat that November 22nd. I might play it. Surprisingly, I might play it again. I might beat it again. Like I exactly overwhelmed or underwhelmed. I guess I was just whelmed with that one. It just, some of the boss fights were really irritating, and it felt cheesy at times just because of cheap deaths, and the phases for some of the bosses just were just like, this isn't any fun. I was looking forward to that one. It's fun playing with another player, but just the levels. I don't know if I'd want to do too many multiplayer levels or the bosses with multiple people. I don't know if I said on Flink Smash and WarioWare, I beat those both in October. Flink Smash was the 31st and WarioWare was the 24th. Next up was Vanquish on the Xbox 360. I beat that on the 27th of March. Yes and yes for beating it and play it again, or play it again and beat it again. It's a fun pass. I love sliding around with the jet mode or whatever. I forget what they called it, but it was a ton of fun. On the Xbox One, I beat Shadows of Mordor, and I beat that June 9th. Lots of fun. Had great story, gameplay. Side quest was a distraction. I think I played for 3 or 4 hours before I actually started really getting into the meat and potatoes of the game itself. Bought it for the 360. I plan on playing through it again with that version. A lot of fun. Definitely recommend it if you hadn't. It's probably the best game I played last year. And then some other games that I beat. Okay. Most of these are on the Xbox. So on the 360, I played Lost Planet, Lost Planet 2, and Lost Planet 3. I beat those all at the beginning of March. I played Lost Planet 3, beat it on the 3rd. Lost Planet 2, I beat it on the 10th. And Lost Planet, the original Lost Planet, I beat it on the 13th. I enjoyed the 3rd one the most. I like walking around in the mech and stuff. Once you got an understanding of what you need to do with the mech, it was really fun. The 2nd one was kind of squad-based, so I think that could be a lot of fun with multiplayer, co-op. And the first one it felt slower pace, like really rough knockback, and it just felt like it was like, I'm so slow. I mean, I know they're cold and all that, but seriously. On the Xbox One, I beat Darksiders on March 26th. I'd play it again. I don't know if I'd beat it again. It really helped once I changed the control scheme. And I forget what I changed it to. I think it was to make it more like Darksiders or Darksiders 2. I like the Darksiders series. I'd love to see it come to a conclusion. I still need to finish Genesis, which maybe they'll be on the list for 2025. Next up was an indie game on the Xbox 360 called Breath of Death 7. It was an RPG. I'd already previously played it. It was like, okay, trying to finish some of these games that I've already played. But I beat that and Livelock for the Xbox One on April 3rd. I'd play them both again. I might beat them both again. Livelock, I think, would be a lot of fun with co-op, and you could have 3 players play. So, fun twin-stick shooter, kind of interesting story. But back to Breath of Death 7, one of the best features of it is the battles. It's random battles, but every stage had a set number of random battles. And so, once you got to that point, you didn't have to fight anymore if you didn't want to. And if you want to, you can go like, all right, let's get in a fight. And even before, you can just get into the area and like fight, get all the fights out of the way, and then actually explore. I thought that was a really cool change to something different. Next up, I beat Sonic Colors Ultimate on the Xbox One. If you're not judging by that was like one of the worst 3D Sonic games I've ever played. It had potential. There's some levels like, oh, this is getting fun, and then other levels just like, this is absolutely horrible. I hate it. I might play it again. I'm planning on selling it, or I did sell it. I forget. But no, I wouldn't try to beat it again. It wasn't worth it. There was one of the boss fights where the controls and the camera and stuff just did not work like it should have. And it was a 10 gig install from the hard drive and then a 13 gig update, and that was just really irritating. And you couldn't use the D-pad. It's a Sonic game. D-pad. Especially when it's side views. Come on. 2D view. Let's go. On the 360, Digimon All-Star Rumble. That was March 8th. I beat it with Agumon. I didn't like the camera controls. The Digimon were cool, You could grind for cards, but once I beat it with Agumon, you could go back and play it through with the other character and like more cards. I had no desire to. And actually, I did sell that one. I sold that one at Sigi. And Spider-Man Web of Shadows, it's not the first time that I beat it. It's probably the 6th or 7th. But beat that one on March 16th. Lots of fun. Love that Spider-Man game. Web of Shadows is one of my favorite games. It's one I'd like to play every year if I had the time. On Xbox One, I beat Planet Alpha. It's an action puzzle game. Beat it August 12th. Might play it again. Might beat it. It was really odd. I don't really even understand what the whole story was about. But it was interesting. Really looked nice. It was easy on the eyes. Then on the 360, we have Section 9. It's a first-person shooter. Beat that August 15th. Yes, I'd play it again. Might try to beat it. It's a fun little campaign. It might worth like $5, $10 would be stretching because there's not a ton to it. Was it Section 9? I think it's supposed to be Section 8. For sure it's supposed to be Section 8. 8, ocho. But it was a fun game. I definitely enjoyed it, even if I can't remember the title of it and totally just wrote it down wrong. But then we have Deadfall Adventures on the Xbox 360. It'll be that September 19th. It's an action shooter. You run around solving some small puzzles, try to collect some power-ups, and shoot Nazis. I think you're the grandson of Alan Quartermain, and it plays like an Indiana Jones style game. A lot of fun. There was a flashlight mechanic that you had to use to shine on certain creatures to make them vulnerable, so you could pew them. But it was alright. There was treasures hidden around in the maps that you could find, and they gave you some boosts as well. The First Templar, beat that October 18th. It's another one that might play it again, maybe beat it again. It's one that would be fun to go back and play through co-op because you could play with 2 people. It's third person. At times, the hit detection and camera were off, and it's just like, it really, I think, took from the game. It could have been a lot better, but interesting storyline. You're hunting for the Holy Grail. Next up on the Switch, we beat Air Twister. It's a third-person shooter. It's like a spiritual successor to Space Harrier. So you're just moving around on the screen and going pew 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 pew. Great music. I think all of the streams got auto muted because I think it was a Queen cover band doing their own songs. Great, sounded great, but yeah, just not a great streaming game. Lots to do on that. I could go back and unlock a lot of stuff. There's a lot of upgrades that you can unlock. I believe it was a port or an upgrade from a mobile game. Back to the 360. I beat Knight's Contract December 10th. Yes, I'd play it again, and yes, I would beat it again. There was some frustrating cheap deaths at part, and it was because it wasn't just you. You're supposed to be protecting the witch, which is part of the whole Knight's Contract. And if she gets knocked off, you're dead. And actually, like, you don't really die, because when you die, she's by herself, and you have to sit there and just pound the A button to come back to life, and then you can go back and rescue her. And if you don't do it in time, you got to start over from the last checkpoint or save point. The last game that I beat on the Xbox 360 was the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beat 'em up. It seemed really slow. Like, that might be one that I can let go of. It's sluggish. If you're going to go play a beat 'em up, there's so many better ones. Streets of Rage 4 would be better, and going back to any of that, I think the Streets of Rage games would be better, just because the Turtles game, it was just slow. And there wasn't a run ability. It was not as enjoyable as I was hoping it was going to be, and I felt it should have been. Next up is Days Before Christmas. That was on the Genesis or Mega Drive platformer. Beat that on Christmas. Kind of fitting. But actually I was doing it on a stream because I usually stream on Wednesday nights at Scanline Heroes. And I was like, this is fitting, and actually someone had requested that game. It's another one that I'd probably play again. Might beat again. I don't know. It's an okay game. It's probably one of the better Christmas-themed games. And just some of the deaths are kind of blind leaps, or conveyor belt, and you jump just a frame too late or a pixel too late, and but it was all right. Like, if you're looking for something to play, especially Christmas theme, that would be one to check out. Next up is on the N64. This is a game that thankfully the battery was still good in the cartridge, so I was able to go back and finish my save file from Perfect Dark back in the day. And I didn't know it, but I was on the last level for the game, and I got stuck on it. And it's a rough final level. It was interesting trying to get used to the N64 controller again, and not because of this always made sense to me, but because of movement with these. Going back to not having two analog sticks is interesting and can be difficult to readjust or unadjust. I don't know which way you want to look at that, but it was all right. I wouldn't mind going back through and playing it again. Maybe I'll fire it up on Rare Replay and give it a shot there. Yeah, it was great. I got to knock out a 20-year-old game. That one I'm also debating about getting rid of, because I've got it on Rare Replay if I ever want to go back and play it. I don't know if I ever will. I think I'd much rather go back and play GoldenEye. I haven't even beat GoldenEye. Need to do that. It might be because I have a lot more nostalgia for GoldenEye. It was the first one, but I own Rare Replay, so I can play it that way. The last game I beat was a beta for a game that was on Kickstarter called Hazard Let Us Out, and that was a lot of fun. It's an NES game. I met the developer at Really Rad Weekend and was really impressed with the game. I played through a lot more than I should have there, but that was okay because it was great to come back and play it. I played it on an original NES, so it was awesome that it works on that. It was a fun game. It had good music. The flow was good. It had good platforming and some small puzzles. Just like, if that was on the NES back in the day, maybe I would have had an NES, but probably not. See ya. Yeah, that was what I did last year. That's what I was able to beat. Some games were really nice, some of them not so much. I beat 32 games across 14 consoles. So out of 32 games, 18 I would play again. 2 of them, no, it's getting sold. The rest of them were maybes. And one of those might be getting sold. Mainly because I have other ways of playing it, and I don't need to keep it for the N64, because I'm really trying to have a small N64 library, and GoldenEye can take the place for first-person shooters. Don't need Perfect Dark. Stay safe, be kind to one another, keep it retro or Xbox or indie or homebrew. God bless, and we'll catch you all later.